Alright, so I'm going to try this again because my phone is a hunk of crap, and so it keeps shutting down. I don't think it's my gimbal, I think it's my phone. But anyway, I wanted to go over some of the ancillary things that were going on around the time of my arrest. And if you don't know the story of my arrest, which happened in 1995, the whole ordeal went on. Jury trial went on, and for about a year, and was finally had my final disposition in 1996. So if you want to hear that story, check the link up above right here. There's a lot of details that I wasn't able to put in that video, so leave your questions and comments in the comment section, and I'll read all the comments, and I will address any of the questions that you have about what went on that time. But in that video, I mentioned a group that I was in, SCMA, the Southern California Minutemen Association, with a group of gun enthusiasts. We'd go around and we'd learn to shoot. It was a fun group. Some of the people involved there, most of them were, well, there's a few police officers who would give us training. There was some military people, an Army Ranger in there, a Navy SEAL guy. Everyone knows a Navy SEAL guy, and most of them are full of shit. This guy, he was all walk and no talk. You know, when he talked, I was in Navy SEAL Team 6. You know, everyone likes to say that. He didn't talk about that. He just talked about what he knew. And he knew his shit when it came to weaponry and whatnot. And he was larger than life. My memories of him were he's 7'8" and 360 pounds. All brawn and just badassery. Of course, that's my memory of him. He said little and did a lot. And he taught. He taught what he knew. And he was, and he knew, you know. So, never thought to question what his history was. There are some cool stories about him that kind of backed up a lot of what he said. One of the things is he had a van, kind of like, reminded me of the A-Team. He had a big old van, and he opened that thing up, and it was a fucking weapons arsenal of unbelievable proportions, and everything was labeled U.S. Navy on it. He was like, yeah, if you know the right people, you can get all kinds of stuff out the door. He had grenades. He had several rifles. He didn't believe in carrying .223. He thought .223 was for pussies. So he never carried we carried, in our group, you had to carry an AR-15. That was required. You had to carry an AR-15. You had to have a sidearm of your choice. And then whenever you go on a training thing, you had to carry a minimum of 300 rounds. So 10 30-round magazines of .223. He'd make fun of us, because he carried 300 rounds of 7.62 or 308. And then we also had to carry another at least 300 rounds or so in our backpack, our Alice pack. And again, he did all that with 308. That was his small weapon. But I mean, like I said, he had slap flares, and he had grenades, and he had smoke bombs, and fucking all the kind of shit. Just whatever. He carried it around and drove it around in his van because he gave no fucks. Anyway, he was one of the people. His name is Steve Wenger. I don't know what he is. I don't know where any of these people are today. I do maintain a Facebook friendship with Glenn Yee. He was at Irwindale. Goddamn this fucking gimbal. What are you looking at over there? Get back over here, you cunt. Alright. Jesus fucking Christ. Alright. There we go. Come on, gimbal. Figure it out. Probably my phone being a hunk of shit. Anyway. Glenn Yee was an Irwindale Reserve police officer. And go into his story a little bit after I want to talk about what happened to me, because I think the stuff that happened to him probably had a lot to do with what happened to me, which happened before I got arrested, and I told that story before he did. And he got arrested a little bit later on, and probably the best account of that story is in the LA Weekly, libertarian newspaper, covers Los Angeles, libertarian LA Weekly. I was there for the trial, of his trial, and there was only one reporter that stayed in that courtroom and watched the hearing, watched the trial, and reported on it, and that was the woman from the LA Weekly. So I encourage you to go on the internet and look up LA Weekly. I believe the title of the thing that you need to see is LAPD Zealots Cost the City a Cool Million, or something like that. I think that's the title of our article. You type that into a search engine and it'll come up. LA Weekly, LAPD Zealots Cost City a Cool Million. But anyway, that he got arrested late 90s. I would say in 98, 99. My arrest was 95, 96. Well, it was 95 when I got arrested. But I don't think he even knows that, and I don't know how to feel about this. I think that I might be the reason he got arrested. Because I joined this group, and there was a bunch of officers in there. And there were undercover agents in there. There were undercover agents from the ATF, as well as the LAPD, LA Sheriffs, Anti-Terrorism Division, the ATD, which was a joint operation between the LA Sheriff's Department and the ATF. And that was all under Daryl Gates' special fucking program that he tried to do, that piece of shit. Daryl Gates, this ATD, anti-terrorism squad that he created. SWAT wasn't good enough, I guess. He had to invent another fucking bullshit operation. Get back over here, you cunt. Alright. What the fuck is this gimbal doing? Get back here. My face is right here, you bitch. Alright, I'm gonna pause it. Alright. So anyway, Daryl Gates, Anti-Terrorism Division, ATD. If you go back and read when Glenn Yee had his trial and went through discovery, he got all kinds of cool shit. Lieutenant Governor Gray Davis at the time, he got emails from them in discovery after his arrest. Lieutenant Governor, I don't remember who governor at the time, but whatever, it was like sending messages to ATD head guy out. It might have been Daryl Gates. I don't remember who it was, but it was like, you better make these charges stick, because you've been in, it's been like 15 years or 10 years or 20 years, however long the ATD has been in existence, and you have 0 convictions and only 1 arrest in your history, which did not result in a conviction. So on this one, you better make it stick, referring to the charge against Glenn Yee. I read that, and I realized that when I said you've only had 1 arrest in your history and they didn't stick, it was talking about me. So I'm the one that got arrested and those charges didn't stick. So me and Glenn were the only people to ever be arrested by the Anti-Terrorism Division, and the charges didn't stick in either one. I don't know. They did. He did do time, but I don't know if it was under the charges brought by the ATD or not. So I don't know if that counted. But anyway, he was able to prove in a civil case that this was a politically motivated trial, and received a settlement from the city for that bullshit conviction. So, yeah, that was a rather funny thing. So anyway, where was I going with it? I was in this group. This is probably the whole video right there. But anyway, the other thing is I'm in this group, and one of the people in it, a guy named Mike Ralph or Dave Ralph, I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Ralph. So I remember his first name and last. He had two first names, Mike Ralph or Dave Ralph. And he called me up and he's like, "Hey, I know you're going through a bunch of crap. You know, why don't you come and do a radio show with me? I'm going to be on this radio show. It's AM radio." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Let's do it." Where the fuck is this thing going? All right. This gimbal's a fucking retard. Jesus Christ. There we go. All right. Getting thirsty. So anyway, day of the show comes around. He's like, "I'll pick you up at your house." Picks me up. He's late. So we're heading. I live in Long Beach. He's driving on. We're speeding our asses up to Los Angeles, where the radio studio is. And he's doing like 100 miles an hour, 110 miles an hour, speeding his ass off because we're running late. And we get to the studio, we're late, we walk in. Anyway, the host is this Second Amendment attorney, and I recognize one of the other guys in there, a guy named Payman Montejera. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he was Persian. He still is Persian, and he runs Freedom Law School. He taught me a lot about the right to travel and all this stuff. And then there was me, and there was Mike or Dave, whatever his name was. And so we get in there, and I think it's going to be like, "Hey, we're going to talk about Second Amendment." And they ambush me. They're all just ganged up on me, telling me how I'm wrong, I'm stupid, I don't know shit about the law. And I'm like, what? Even the Second Amendment guy said, like, "Well, you should be driving around with guns in your trunk of your car." What the fuck is it? What are you talking about? I was like, "What do you mean I can't drive around with guns in the car? The Second Amendment says that the Second Amendment doesn't give me rights to drive around with guns in my car. The Second Amendment puts a restriction on the government to forbid me to drive around with guns in my car." But they don't seem to want to talk about that. "Oh, well, but still, he starts talking, Supreme Court ruled this." Well, the Supreme Court was wrong. Plain English, it's wrong. They're bunch of mental gymnastics to try to justify how their decisions doesn't make them right. The police officer guy, Mike Ralph, he's the only one to back me up. He backed me up on the right to travel business, why you don't need a driver's license, why you don't need a license plate on your car, all that stuff. And the host of the show is like, what are you talking about? No, I start talking about it. I start reciting the law, reciting the vehicle code. I start reciting case law. And he's like, "Well, that doesn't make any sense. You can't have people running around with no license. You can't have cops going around giving people tickets and putting people in jail for laws that don't exist. If they want to make it illegal, then they should make it illegal, but it's not illegal. It's improper enforcement of law. It's a proper application of law." And, the police officer guy, he backed me. He was the only one to back me up. Not even the guy who runs the law school who taught me all this stuff. He turned on me. And I was like, well, he said I was following patriot mythology, he called it. And I was like, don't call it mythology, cite case law or shut the fuck up. And, I was a little bit more graceful in the way I worded it on the air. It was AM radio, but you know, I'm in my mind I made fools of them. I think we all look like idiots at the end, except for this Dave Ralph, Mike Ralph dude. He's the only one who probably sounded intelligent, but yeah, he backed me up. He was the voice of reason in there. Everybody else got pretty heated and stuff. It was pretty cool. And at the end, he drove me back to my home. He's like, hey, you know, I know you're going through the shit, legal stuff, and he goes, I feel for you. He goes, I want you to have this, and he gives me a $20 Liberty coin, a $20 gold Liberty. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what to say. It's like, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, maybe it'll help you. Now back then, gold was $300 an ounce, $320, I think, $315 an ounce. I wish I still had that coin, but yeah. But he gave me that, and it was like, you know, wow, that's very cool, very nice of you. A few weeks, maybe after that, shortly after that, Glenn Yee calls me up. He goes, man, I need to talk to you. And I was like, I need you to make sure you stay away from Dave Ralph. I'm like, wow, what's up? He goes, you know, what's up? Anyway, I met up with him. I think it was at a shop or something where he worked, or a business he owned. I don't remember. But he's like, he called me up the other day. And he's like, you know what? I've had it with all these Mexicans coming across the border. And now this Dave Ralph, Mike Ralph dude is Mexican. He's like, I can't stand all these illegal aliens coming over the border. He's talking to Glenn about this. He goes, I think we need to do something about that. Like, what are we going to do about that? That's not what we're about. Well, I think we should get the whole group together. We should go down to San Ysidro. We could all set up some sniping nests, some sniper nests, and as these motherfuckers swim across the river, we can snipe them. And Glenn's like, you're fucking crazy. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to murder people. That's not what we're about. You know, we're not here to break law and do stupid shit. They go, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. Oh, hey, I'm going to go out and go, can I borrow your gun? Glenn told me, he's like, what? Are you kidding me? He tells this guy, he's like, if you're going to go kill people, kill them with your own gun. You're not going to use my gun, you stupid fuck. And so he's like, okay, oh, all right, okay. You know. So he's like, yeah, I think this guy, you know, he's a cop, you know. But then he's trying to do some provocateur kind of stuff, trying to get us to do something. He goes, so just don't do anything stupid or illegal. Has he done that? I was like, well, he got me to go on the radio show with him, and I didn't say anything stupid on there, and he actually backed me up. We went, oh, okay, well, you know, that's kind of weird. But it turns out, after Glenn got arrested, that he was an undercover operative working to inform the department on what we were doing. So yeah, that was, you know, another wacky, weird shit that was going on in the mid-90s with my stuff. Again, the whole thing was weird. There's so many more aspects to this story. I can't even get into it. Please ask me questions about it, because every time I start thinking about it, I remember more shit. It was just 30 years ago now. So please ask questions about it. The more I remember, the more how freaking weird it is and how stupid it all was. But go check out that, go do an internet search and try to find that LA Weekly article. Glenn Yee and Al Ung, both Chinese. I think they're both Chinese. They're both Asian. Who were, the press called them white supremacists, which is funny. So anyway, check it out. That's just another weird aspect of my life. There's plenty more to come.